Hi, so it is time to start another reading vlog. I'm starting this one late since I finished the last one a little bit late, but hopefully I can finish off all of my May reading this week because this is the last week of the month and I've got a lot left on my TBR. So I really want to read The Golden Key, which I read the prologue of. I really loved it. But I keep having other books that I have to prioritize above this, and I still think that I can't start reading this yet. I've got other books I need to prioritize. So the one that I'm halfway through at the moment is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This I am reading for Kayla's Literally Dead book club. This is a thriller. It's set in this remote island where they're holding a wedding. So all these people are arriving for the wedding, and you know right from the beginning that something bad happens at the wedding, but you don't exactly know what yet. And you're learning about all the different traumas and secrets that these different people have and trying to work out which one is the one that's going to lead to things going wrong, or like how they're going to interweave together. In a lot of ways it's like Big Little Lies, which I really like. So I am really enjoying it, although there's more annoying guys. Actually, Big Little Lies has some quite annoying guys in it too. Anyway, I'm very interested to see how that will go. I have actually started taking notes on my whiteboard, which I won't show you because it's got a whole bunch of spoilers on it, but I'm starting to note down all my theories because I had this idea that reading a thriller like that and like noting down all my theories will then allow me to remember all my theories and see whether I got them right or not, which I think might be more fun. So we're going to try that, and I'm going to try and finish this tonight. Also, before I can start The Golden Key, I need to read The Yellow Wallpaper. That's really quick, so that shouldn't be a problem. I've got the first Sandman graphic novel by Neil Gaiman. That should also be really quick, but all three of those books are due back at the library in a couple of days, and they've got whole queues, so I can't renew them. So I need to hurry up and finish those. But then I still can't read The Golden Key because as well I want to read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste because this was the group book for the Asian Readathon, so I really should read it. I recently read Everything I Never Told You by Celeste and I really enjoyed that. So that's a good sign that I will enjoy Little Fires Everywhere. So I'm going to try and read that as well. And given that it's already Wednesday, will I also be able to add in a 1,000 page book? I doubt it, although Jace is working this weekend, so perhaps I can fit in a lot of reading, but it's more likely that I'll fit in a lot of Animal Crossing. Also, audiobooks. So I am listening to the audiobook of The City of Brass. So far I'm 4 hours into it and I've got about 16 hours to go. It's a really long audiobook. And so far I'm a little bit bored. We've got this girl who has these healing powers, and she also knows she knows any language, but she also knows this language that nobody else knows. And then she meets this person who also knows that language, and that leads to her going to this world of different magical beings, including jinns. And then it changed perspective, which I wasn't expecting, and we're following this other guy who seems to be some kind of jinn royalty. I don't know. I'm bored, and so I'm not paying attention, which isn't helping. But hopefully it will get better. I'll keep listening. And if I can get through that, I do also have the audiobook for Shadowblack, which I believe is the second book. I hope it's the second book. What is this series even called? Why will you not tell me? The second book in the Spellslinger series. I read the first book last year as part of the Newts readathon, I think, or part of the Owls. Probably part of the Owls. It was a long time ago, so I need to continue this series before I completely forget about everything that was happening and have to start again. So hopefully I can get to that this week as well, and if I finish off all of that, then I think I'll be happy with my May reading. Sort of. I last night got up to about 80% in The Guest List. I really wanted to stay up and just finish it, but I'm so tired, and I thought that's not the way to finish off a thriller because you want to be guessing. And are you really going to be guessing good when your brain's shutting down? Anyway, so far a lot of the secrets have been revealed, and they were pretty much all things that I had guessed. There are a few candidates for who could be the murderer or who could be the murderee. I know who I want to be murdered, so fingers crossed that that will happen. But I also feel like so far most of the candidates that I have are just too obvious, so I'm really hoping that maybe it'll be something that I'm not expecting. There is something weird going on with the wedding planner and her husband, so I'm waiting to see what that is. That's probably the thing that I have the least solid guesses about. But I'm going to finish that last 20% now, so we will see whether it manages to satisfy me. Well, so I finished the guest list and that was a really satisfying ending. It did such a great job of bringing all the different threads together and making them all important for the final murder, and like what happened afterwards wrapped up everything, and that was a really good book. This is honestly the kind of thriller that I really like, one that makes you think, one where all the characters are interesting, one where all the threads come together. Yes, this is definitely one that I would recommend. Hi, so last night after I finished off the guest list and then did a whole bunch of life stuff, in the evening I managed to read 2 other things, both very short things, so I'm not too amazing, but still I am happy with myself. So I read The Yellow Wallpaper by someone, Perkins. I think this is a book actually that a lot of people read in high school. Well, not a book, a short story. It's about this woman who, these days it's very clear, had postnatal depression, but her husband, who's a doctor, and her brother, who's a doctor, don't really think there's anything wrong with her. They just think she's being like a nervous woman. You know how women are quite fragile sometimes. So they basically just force her to have bed rest and do nothing. And eventually she's just isolated in this room with this yellow wallpaper, and she becomes quite obsessed with the yellow wallpaper. I thought it was a really enjoyable short story. I really liked what it had to say about people thinking that locking people away and making them rest is somehow going to help their depression. Obviously not. And I also thought the way that she described and pictured the yellow wallpaper was quite creepy. It also did remind me of the movie Mother, which I watched a while ago, and now I remember afterwards when we were Googling some things, because it's a very strange movie. And so there were a few things in it which I was like, did that mean something? So we were Googling it, and I remember now seeing references to the yellow wallpaper. And now I almost want to watch that movie again, although it was very strange. I'm not sure. Anyway, after I finished the yellow paper, then I read the first volume of the Sandman comics. I think I've been calling them graphic novels, but I think they're definitely comics instead. I need to properly look up the difference, but pretty sure they were published as comics initially. And this follows this Sandman who is like this godlike creature, very powerful. He has the power of dreams, but then he gets trapped for 100 years, and when he eventually escapes, he has to try and reclaim his power. So unfortunately, I tend to either really love Neil Gaiman stuff or not really like it at all, and this falls into more of the I don't like it side. Like most of the stuff by Neil Gaiman that I don't really like, I do like the concept, I like the character, but I just wanted more, and instead I felt like so much of his narrative style was just all about the aesthetics and not so much about the substance. I want more substance. Also, I'm not really a fan of the art style. But these are quite old, so I guess trends in art, and especially comic art, have changed over time. So I do think I might read some more of this series just because I want to see if it improves and if he does some more interesting things with the character. If he does, it could be really cool, so we'll see. Then this morning and all of today, because it's the evening now, I did read a tiny bit of Little Fires Everywhere, the first 3 chapters, so I'm going to be continuing that tonight and probably tomorrow, because I'm not going to finish it tonight. So this is about this family, and right at the beginning their family house has been burned down. The adopted daughter, who's the youngest daughter, is missing, and the tenants of the rental home that they own have also just moved out without leaving a note. And there's a few other like suspicious things going on. So I like the setup, but then we've just been talking about the backstory of these tenants, and I find that bit kind of boring. So I'm hoping we'll get back to some of the more interesting stuff soon and I will get more into it. But I guess we will see what happens. Otherwise, I haven't really been doing much at all. Just Animal Crossing, admin, video stuff, study. It's been really rainy, so it hasn't really been worth leaving the house, which would be good for getting stuff done, except that I'm kind of just feeling like mediocre productive. But as usual, I'll try to be more productive tomorrow, so I will see you then. Good morning. So it's Sunday now. I should have updated you guys yesterday, but I was feeling kind of meh and like it's kind of hard to know what to say when there's some crazy things going on in the world right now. And it's actually kind of surreal being in New Zealand because we now only have one known active case of COVID-19. So things are feeling, I think, quite different than some other parts of the world in terms of that. And then as well, there's all this racial violence and murder going on in America. And like, of course, New Zealand has its own issues with race. It's certainly not perfect here. But what's going on in America is just like another level. And I don't even really know what to say about it. I mean, clearly, I'm not very knowledgeable about what's going on over there. There's plenty of other people sharing good stuff. Plenty of people not sharing good stuff, so do be careful what you read and what you take on. But I do just want to say, like, obviously racism is not great and we should be trying to clear as much of that out of our spaces as we can. Not just the big horrible things, but the little things which lead to the big horrible things. But I feel like anybody watching this video already knows that, and there's no point talking about it anymore because it's not talk that matters, it's actions. Anyway, let me tell you about what else happened yesterday. In the morning, I went for a walk down to the local thrift shop, which I discovered just before lockdown. And I will say, I went down there, there's signs everywhere saying, stay 2 meters apart, and people do not understand what 2 meters apart means. So it was a little bit stressful, and that might save me from going there for a little while, which actually I need because I don't want to buy too many books because I'm doing really well at getting my TBR down to 0. So I don't want to ruin it, but I did buy 2 books. They were 50 cents each, so it's only $1 in total. So, firstly, I remember the other day I thought, have I read everything by Maggie Stiefvater? And I had a look and I thought, yeah, I think I have, except for that graphic novel, Swamp Thing, which I put a request on at the library. But then I'm in this thrift shop and I see this book. And I'm like, is that a Maggie Stiefvater book that I don't know anything about? Yes it is. So it turns out this is the second book in a trilogy that she never finished. She wrote it quite a while ago, and who knows if she will ever finish it. Some kind of fairy story. Honestly, I don't even know if I will like it. I saw Maggie Stiefvater saying that she would have written the first 2 books really differently at this point, and so now she doesn't really know how to write the 3rd book. In fact, she did write the 3rd book, and then she decided she didn't like it, so she scrapped it. So I don't know, but I do love Maggie Stiefvater, so I think I'd like to read it. I looked up, my library does have the 1st book, so I could read that. But I just thought, what's the chance of me ever coming across this again for 50 cents? So I bought it in case I love it. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. Then as well, the other one I picked up is Heir to Seven Waters by Juliette Marillier. Juliette Marillier is a New Zealand author, and this, I don't even know which book it is in the series. I think it might be the 4th book. I've only read the 1st one, so I can't read this yet either. But I did really love the 1st one, and I've been wanting to continue this series. So if I can get it for 50 cents, then that's better than buying it for more money in the future. Although I wouldn't have bought this edition if I'd had a choice, but when we're going for 50-cent books, this is a good option. So actually, both of these books that I bought, I can't read either of them yet without reading other books. So they'll go in my locked section of my physical TBR. So should I have bought them? I'm not sure, but it was $1 and I do want to read these books, so I think it was a good deal. Then as well, I finished listening to The City of Brass. I just don't think I like the writing style, and I also didn't like the audiobook narration. There were some interesting things that happened, but it just felt to me like there was a lot of talking and a lot of just people telling you what was happening rather than interesting things happening. Some interesting things did happen, but overall I was just bored. So that was disappointing, and now I don't know whether I should continue the series or not. But then also in the afternoon, I went for a walk with my sister, and while I was on that walk, I started a new audiobook, so I started listening to Shadowblack by Sebastien de Castell, which is the second book in the Spellslinger series, and I've only got a couple of hours left, so I assume I will finish that today. It's alright. This guy, what is his name? Kellen? He discovers some more people who have the same problem that he has, and he's just trying to help them out. I don't think it's anything too amazing, but it's alright. I haven't felt bored, although I also listened to a lot of it while I was playing Animal Crossing, so Animal Crossing kept me entertained. And then, this is a long update, but also I've read about half of Little Fires Everywhere, and so far as well, it's been a little bit boring. It's just these like privileged white kids and also this other girl who's less privileged, but they're just doing normal teen things. They do this prank, which I just thought was kind of petty and stupid, even though I think it was meant to be meaningful in some way. I also realized I thought that the last daughter in the family was adopted. That's not true. I think I just misunderstood something that I heard about this book before I got it. There is a Asian baby that was left outside a fire station that another very privileged family has adopted. I think that's what I'd gotten confused about. So I think maybe things are about to start getting interesting, but I guess we will see what happens next. I need to finish it today because it's the last day of May. I had wanted to have finished it already and started the Golden Key, but plans don't always work out. I also want to do a lot of other things today, so I better get going. So I just finished Little Fires Everywhere, and I can't believe that was the ending. I actually thought I had more to go because my Kindle was saying like 93% or something, but then it turns out that the last bit was the first chapter of Everything I Never Told You, so then it was just the end, and I don't feel like any of the plot threads were satisfactorily resolved. I just can't really believe that was the ending that she decided to go for. So I will say I do think it was a really good exploration of motherhood and adoption and abortion and all that kind of stuff, looking at things from different perspectives. I did like that part of the story, and like, I don't know if you can tell, but it definitely made me cry near the end. I think there were some parts of the story that I really loved, but it also seemed that there were a lot of bits in there that could have really been taken out. They felt quite unnecessary. Like, it just kept going on these big tangents, telling different characters' backstories, and some of them quite boring. So in Everything I Never Told You, I remember thinking that the parents part of the story was a bit boring and I preferred the children's part of the story. In this one, it's the other way around. I thought that the parents part of the story was more interesting, but we seem to focus more on the children who didn't have that much interesting going on. And then when we finally got to some interesting things going on with them, we stopped following them. What? I don't know. I feel like there's definitely some interesting things about this story, but overall I feel unsatisfied. Also, I did earlier finish off Shadowblack, and I quite liked it. It was alright. I do quite enjoy the main character's squirrel cat that he has as a companion, and I quite like these like philosopher type people that he's fallen in with. I don't know when I'll continue the series, but I guess I will at some point. My battery signal has just started flashing, so I guess that's a sign that I should just finish off this vlog. I am gonna start tonight the Golden Key, but I won't be finishing that till next week, so there's no point talking about it now. Hopefully the world will be in a better state next week. Fingers crossed. I will see you then. Otherwise, I hope that you all keep safe.